don't give up in life, right?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna go through hurdles. You're gonna go through it's not always gonna be easy. You gotta fight through the BS.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm going through a lot of BS, and I just never let that stop me.
I'm on a mission to teach coaches and entrepreneurs how to make more, work less, hire their funnel, and let the funnel do the work. If you're ready, join me on Monetize with Marcus podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Monetize with Marcus, where we interview entrepreneurs, coaches, business owners to allow you to learn how you can begin to monetize anything from your minutes, your skill, your ideas. So we want to give you a blueprint from the lives of entrepreneurs who have succeeded against the odds to be able to find a way to take care of themselves and make an impact on others. And today, I get a chance to interview my guy, Jonathan Dubaton, a.k.a. as I know him, Finesse. Man, phenomenal entrepreneur. He probably doesn't title himself this, but I call him a thought leader, you know, and it's not that he's just a thought leader as it relates to, typically we do this in politics and all that, but I think for the culture to really highlight individualism, those who are free thinkers, but Airbnb monster. Like he's going to tell you the ins and outs of that, serial entrepreneur, but more than anything else, just a solid guy. Man, what's going on for that?
What's going on, Marcus?
Man, I want to say thank you for making the time, pausing, because he's also a podcaster, right? So
for sure, yeah.
Pausing the show to show up. So let me first ask, man, like, who do you help?
Who do I help? Well, at first I started with my family and friends. I was always a guy that was the go-to guy in the neighborhood to like advice. But I never had anybody to go to. So like I was always being the person that helped people and being a mentor, but I never had that in my life. So now that, you know, I'm growing as an entrepreneur, like I want to help other young guys, young women to, you know, be able to think and be able to reach their goals in life.
I love it. So let's just say if anybody's listening now, like right out the gate, what I love is anytime, all of us, it's a phenomenal time to be an entrepreneur because we don't realize entrepreneurs are the new celebrities, the new influencers. People aren't saying, I want to play basketball. Everybody kind of understands that. People want to own their time. They want freedom. They want mobility. So like I know for myself, coaches and entrepreneurs I serve because I realize they need a way to generate leads to market. So like for yourself, is that open for the employee? Is it the entrepreneur? Like what type of space are people in that you're helping them navigate?
I think that people that I'm trying to help, they probably are trying to get into entrepreneurship. They either working a 9 to 5. They're kind of stuck at where they're at, what direction they want to go in life. And I'm just a guy that you could relate to. Like I'm from the hood, I'm from the streets, I've been to prison, and it's like you could really relate to me versus, you know, other people that sound just so educated and like they feel like they can't relate to them like they could relate to me.
I got you. Man, you dropped a few things. You know, I'm curious, a.k.a. nosy.
Yeah.
I got to hear about it. Like, what makes you want to help a person? And it sounds like people who are stuck, unclear. They know what they want, but they don't know how to get started.
Yeah.
So, like, what was that journey for you where you went from not having a mentor, not having someone to help guide you that put you on this path? Tell me your story. How'd you get started?
Well, it's a very long story.
Hey, man, let's do it.
Well, like, I'm still trying to figure it out. You know, people look at me and I look like, you know, like I'm just doing my thing, which I am, you know, but I have like really big aspirations and really big goals in life. So like, I feel like I'm just in the beginning stages, but going back, I was really trying to figure out life, trying to figure out how to make money, where I wanted to be in life. And so back in, let's say 2010, maybe, I went to college. I dropped out
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Gordon College. It was a junior college in South Georgia. Very, very small.
Where you from?
No, I'm from the south side of Atlanta. Born in New Jersey, but I just went to South Georgia just because I didn't know what else to do after high school.
Gotcha.
And while I was in college, I just never felt like it was for me. I never felt like I was supposed to be working for an individual. And so I dropped out and just started trying to figure it out. And I started my own business, like a street business, actually. What happened was I bought a cell phone, an iPhone. It was like the iPhone 4 or something. Bought it for my homie. And I went on Craigslist and sold it and made like 4 times the profit. And I was like, yo, hold up. I could do this. And
You saw opportunity.
So I didn't even know about like marketing, and I just knew how to hustle. So what I started doing was I started putting like these Facebook posts, kind of like ads, but like, hey, sell me your iPhone, sell me your Apple products. And it kind of blew up from there. Like I was getting people from every direction trying to sell me their phones. They don't know what it's worth. And I'm just buying them up. I'm buying it from every part of Atlanta. And I got so big where like I had to put other people on. And it was at a time where people was getting robbed. Like it was all over the news where like people was getting robbed left and right. It was just a lot of chaos in that field because you meet people on Craigslist. All right, well, sure, I know he got some money on him. All right, I got 4 iPhones on me. Hey, pull up. And people, not me, that never happened to me, but like people that I put on,
Yeah.
things that happened to them, you know, and, you know, God forbid nothing ever happened to me. But that was like my first interaction with entrepreneurship, learning how to like go hand in hand with, you know, products and advertising and being like just marketing myself as this person. I was just a go-to guy to sell your iPhone to. And then I kind of learned something too. Like my plug, I asked him one day, like, you know, like he used to buy everything from me. And I was like, yo, how you buying all these phones? And like, how you making all this money? He was like, well, I only make a $10 profit. And I was like, how you making money from that? He was like, well, if I got the best prices in the city, everybody's gonna come to me versus me trying to, you know, lowball you. I'll just make the small profit, but I'll get more of a quantity. And that light bulb went off like, you know what? I need to do the same thing. So what I did was I just employed everybody in my neighborhood. Like, listen, you bring me the phones. I don't care. We're making a $20, $30 profit. And then I go sell it to him. So I went from buying I went from making maybe $1,000 a week to maybe like $5,000 a week.
Wow.
Easily. And then, well, that was like the beginning. And then I felt like I kind of outgrew that. Like I didn't want to be in the streets. I let my homies have that. And then I started doing illegal activities because I'm just very, I just have really big dreams. And so like my homie he showed me this fraud he was doing. And I was like, what are you doing, man? He pulled up in like a BMW i8 and he was like, yeah, I'm doing this stuff. And I was like, nah, I think I'm straight. Because it was too much just to fathom. Like, you making how much? And you ain't going to jail for it. But I kept seeing him. I just kept seeing him. He just kept doing better and better. I was like, bro, just put me on. And then he showed me the game. Long story short, I end up opening 2 convenience stores. And that kind of opened the door to actually running a business now. So
hold on. We can't long story short that.
Okay.
We just went from cell phones to grocery stores.
Yeah.
Like, I got to fill in these gaps. Like, I got to figure this out because I'm too nosy. Like, hold on. How did we open a grocery store? Like, so we went from selling phones. At this point, you're still selling phones or it's just on autopilot?
I gave it away. I gave that business away.
Okay.
I feel like I could make way more money over here than, you know, being in the streets.
And the other guy you knew,
Yeah.
what was he doing? If you can say.
Oh yeah, the case over with. But it was food stamp fraud.
Okay.
And what it required was basically, it basically required to like run a bunch of names through the food stamp program to retrieve a bunch of cards. So we did it for a year and a half straight, and
then sell the cards.
Yeah, we would sell the cards to someone that had a store that would take a 40% cut. And then another light bulb went off like, you know what? Why am I giving all this money to this guy when I could just get my own store?
Man, your intuition, like, cell phone. Like, that light bulb just run the play like straight up entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the food stamp scam is right, but I understand.
Right.
So you hear the play on, and you think, okay, I'm giving this amount of money away to the grocery store. How you open a grocery store?
Man, kind of like my plug, he kind of gave me like the instructions to do it. He was just like, you know, it's pretty easy. You just got to find a location, you know, get an LLC, EIN, you know, just the basics. And I was like, all right, bet. And then I had enough money where I can, you know, fund the store, get all the products, get all the merchandise, everything. So I ended up getting a store. Then it went from one store, you know, I was making so much money out of one store, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to get caught making $100,000 off one store. Let me break it down to 2 stores. And I was making, you know, $50,000 each store. And then I was like, you know what, I need to make more money. I need to make more. I need to have more stores. I need to have more cards. This is just me just trying to figure out life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I could just come off this, I could really just be straight for life.
Yeah.
And what I started doing, the same homies that I put on with the iPhone plays, like, hey, you want a store? I can offer you 30%. And they was going for it. So I have 2 stores. I'm building up 3. And simultaneously, that's when the federal government came, kicked in my door, and was like, we know what you've been doing. And at first I was so confused because I felt like what I was doing wasn't illegal. I had homies at my house at the time, and I was like, maybe they're here for somebody else. I just was so confused, and I was like, nah, we looking for you. We're from the food stamp such and such, and you've been doing this, you've been doing that. We need to ask some questions. I was like, let me just get a lawyer. And then fast forward. No, I mean not fast forward. So at that point, I was living really, really good. I was living in Atlantic Station. I had this 2-story loft. I decorated it really, really nice. And once they came, they kind of stopped the flow of my money. And I needed to figure out how can I start making money and still live in this place. When they came, they was like, yeah, you took about $800,000. And I was like, I was looking in my bank account. I had $60,000 in my account. And I probably had maybe 16,000 in my safe. And it just wasn't adding up. The math wasn't mathing. Like, where'd this money go? Like, what was I doing with this bread? But I was only reinvesting it. I would take the money that I was making. I had employees that was, doing the fraudulent stuff for me. I was building up stores. So like, okay, I know where the money was going. I was paying everybody bills. So I know where the money was going. I just never knew that I was making that much money in that short amount of time. It was like a year and a half. And then so they didn't freeze any of my bank accounts or nothing like that. So with this spot, I didn't know about Airbnb. Somebody, I don't know where it came from.
What year is
this?
This
Is 2015, the end of 2015, like October, September, something like that.
Wow.
And then somebody just gave me the idea with this Airbnb stuff, and I just listed my spot, took a couple pictures, put it on there, and February 14th, I made $500 in one night, and I was like, hold up. Light bulb.
That thing hit again. Hey, listen, that light bulb hit again.
Light bulb, like, oh, damn. All right, well, let me get some Airbnbs. So like I was running the play at my crib, making $500 a night, sometimes $1,000, and ended up getting another spot. So now I got 3 spots running while I'm waiting on my trial, pre-trial, whatever, and I'm making about maybe $30,000 a month. And I was like, damn, I should have been doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I didn't know at the time. Like I was only thinking, in one direction. Like I wasn't thinking like, let me take this money and try to reinvest it in something legal. Like I was gonna do that later. Let me run up the bag first with this legal stuff, and I'll come back. And then so that's what got me into like Airbnbs. And then so fast forward, I was on pre-trial for maybe 17 months, and then I ended up getting sentenced 3 years, 9 months, 45 months. So while I'm sitting in jail, I'm figuring out a plan. Like, you know what? Like, what am I gonna do when I get out? Like, I already understand this Airbnb game. Let me kind of like make it a real business now. So I'm sitting in prison thinking like, okay, if I can put this plan together, come out and use the money that I already got, because I buried some money, right? I wasn't just a dummy. I buried some cash, and I was like, look, when I get out, I'm gonna just do it the right way. I'm gonna take this cash and reinvest it. Also, I was learning like marketing. I was understanding branding. I was just thinking, I just didn't want to sit in prison just wasting time.
Yeah.
Like I try to use every second of that prison sentence to like my advantage. So like I went hard, like working out. Like I came out with like an 8-pack. And then like I was reading so many books. I was paying people. I paid this white guy like $150 to sit down with him every day to learn Forex. Like I was just trying to equip myself with enough knowledge so when I do step out, like I don't got to revert back to, the stuff that I was doing before. So, and I also came up with this brand also, like this fraud stuff. Like I was doing fraud, so like let me try to make a positive out of this fraud.
I was about to ask you about that. You got a hat on that says fraud, and a shirt that is what some would say oxymoronic, rich and unemployed.
That's the name of the shirt, actually.
Yeah.
Oxymoronic shirt, yeah.
Yeah, so I need to dig into both, but here's my big question before we get into it. Like, I'm always curious in the why. Like our outward expression is always something we think. Like what you mentioned earlier, I always had big dreams. what sparked that big dream, that aspiration? What is that you were after? And what's the upbringing that made you just curious and a sponge? Because the average person can't just light bulb go off and they just move into action.
Yeah.
So like, what's that upbringing that gave you those foundational things? Did you grow up around entrepreneurs, street entrepreneurs? Like what did that look like for you that groomed and developed you where you would have the risk tolerance to just take that many? Like right now, if I got the idea for a grocery store, I'll probably sit on it. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna take action on a grocery store. You like, no, grocery store, all right. And we'll have that up by next week. Like, so like brothers, sisters, dad, like what was your upbringing like?
I didn't have. That was pretty much it. That's what kind of gave me the motivation. I never really seen anybody with money. I never had a mentor, a dad, a brother. I never had these people in my life to show me like real money. I would just see it on TV. Like, dang, like these people really living. So just when I seen like my first dollar, I always knew how. I was really good at math. I never really did good at school, but I was really good at math, really good at science. So like I just know multiplication, adding, subtracting. So I get it. If I do enough of this, I can get this. But my risk tolerance came from like when I was younger, I was really bad. Like I was in and out of juvenile just because I was just mad at my dad for not being there. So like I was just doing just dumb stuff. And I told myself, like, I was at a point, like, I went to jail at 12. I went to juvenile at 12. And then I think at 16, they kind of offered me, like, a year sentence. And I was like, oh, this is real time. I only did, like, little stints, like 3 months, 2 weeks, house arrest. But they were trying to give me a year. And I was like, damn, my life going to change. If I do 16 to 17, like, I'm going to miss a gap. I was like, no, I can't be doing this type of, you know what I'm saying? But I always still had this criminal mindset. Like, you know what? If I am going to be a criminal, it has to be worth it. Let me not even, like, put myself in these dumb positions. Let me just... Like it was just in me. I couldn't let it go. I don't know why. It was just in me. Like when the opportunity came, like I always just had this, I'll take risks. Like I would take risks in life. And that's just where it came from. Like going back to my homie, he was the person that kind of showed me like, it's real money out here. That was the first person in my life, pulled up with a BMW i8 on some 22 Ashantis, drop top. That was the person that showed me it was real money. So that was my only example. Like I will. If he doing it, well, and he not getting caught, I could do it too.
So the dream was to have real money, whatever that looks like. That's relative, right? So that was the ultimate dream you was chasing.
Right.
But in the wrong direction.
Wrong direction.
So like give me, before we get into the fraud piece, all of that, like how you flipped it, what was the turning point? Once you came out of prison, was prison the turning point?
Prison was the turning point, yes.
So once you came out, what did that look like? Like, give me first 6 months. What was the thought process? What did you do first?
Man, my first 6 months, I was so eager to get out. Like I was just so ready to get out. And another fire that was in me, my mom died while I was in prison 2 months before I got out. So I was really kind of like, you know, I had this anger inside of me. Like, you know what? I just did all this time. I lost my mom. Like something good has to come out of this. So like first day out, well, actually I didn't even get out. I went to the halfway house. They gave me a year in the halfway house, and that was basically me being free but still being in the system. But I kind of finessed the situation. So what I did was the first thing I thought was like, you know what, I'm going to use this money and start investing in my brand. That's my first objective. So I got a fake job, which they let me out from 12 p.m. to 2 in the morning. That gave me enough time to do whatever I needed to do. So I ended up getting me like a loft, like an office space. I just started creating logos. I started just like branding myself because I already knew like my story was big, like from where I'm from. I was gonna use that momentum. Like, okay, Dupe is finally getting out of jail. That's what they call me in the streets.
They called you what now?
Dupe. My last name Dupeton, but they just shortened it Dupe. All right, Dupe is getting out. What is he? I already knew eyes was on me, so like, let me take that momentum and kind of shift it, because they probably already thought like maybe he's about to go back into fraud, because like people just knew me as a get money type of guy now. So I was taking that. I took the Finesse's Only Club and started branding it and put it in a way where people could understand. They didn't know what was happening in front of them, but they're just watching the show. That's how I created. Like, you just watching the show, and nobody knew I was in the halfway house. They just thought I was free. So like people looking at my Instagram and stuff, and they just watching like, dang, like he's really just got out of prison. He's just going full throttle. That's exactly what I did. I just went full throttle, putting money to my brand, and I just had a vision for it.
You're a very interesting guy. The reason why I say that is I think that there are so many people that you didn't have the mentorship, you didn't have the resources, you didn't have the education stacked against you. What makes a person believe in themselves to invest in a brand, right? Like that in itself is like crazy. What gave the confidence to move forward? And the reason why I asked that, I think is going to help someone, even when we talk about, when we move into like the whole Airbnb and some of that, because anytime we have fear, we have lack of information. Normally fear is the first emotion that rears up versus excitement. So like, where'd that come from? That just bet on myself, invest in myself, don't care if I fail.
Man, where did it come from? I think before prison, I already had this kind of like aura about me. Like people just gravitated towards me, and I got confidence from that. So by me sitting in prison and kind of like building myself up, I'm just watching. I never really watched TV, but sitting in prison, I just watch TV all day, and I'm looking at other people live their lives on TV like, oh man, I could do this. I'm looking at other people brand themselves. I'm looking at other people market themselves. And I just had these visions laying on the bunk bed every night. Like, I could do this. I could, even if I just had a following of 200 people, I can grow that one by one. So I just knew that people were, and then I had friends too. I had a really great support system. People really looked up to me. People were just there for me. So I knew the power that I had before. I just had to work on it like a muscle. I just had to keep grinding, keep pushing towards it, because you can have lack of confidence, but you can actually build confidence up to a point where you're not scared anymore. You could really feel yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like the more people that are reaching out to you, the more people that are giving you like, you know, like that are telling you that you're doing really, really good, is boosting you up. And I was just using that. You know what I'm saying? People like, damn, bro, you getting out, you doing your thing. All right, boom. Like, I know I'm doing something good. Let me just keep going. Let me keep going. It don't even matter if I got it right, because I didn't have anything really right. I just had a shirt with a logo on it, me posting on Instagram. That was really it. And people just gravitated towards it. That gave me more confidence.
Man, tell me more about this fraud, rich, and unemployed. Now you've got me curious. What is it? How did this come to be? Like, give me the backstory and kind of what is it?
First, I didn't know what it was. I just needed something to represent me. I knew I had a story. I knew people were going to be interested. So, first it was Finesse's Only Club. Me watching TV, I'm just watching like different. I think I was watching NBA TV, and it was like players only. I was like, man, Finesse's Only, because I didn't want to be known as a scammer, because I'm not a scammer. I just, I just leveraged different things in life. Like I just wasn't into doing just fraudulent stuff. So like I know that I want to separate the two. Like, don't categorize me as a scammer. I'm a finesser. Like I just finesse my way through life. So Finesse's Only came first, and then I was just going through the dictionary like, man, like I need to come up with something for fraud. So I took the dictionary. I went through every F-R-A-U-D. I put like maybe 6 or 7 different meanings together, and I went around like my cell block, like, hey, what you think of this? When they seen the Finally Rich After Unstoppable Determination, I was like,
you can't
Am I going
spit
too
that
fast?
like Twister. Like, you can't give me that Twister flow. What does fraud stand for?
Finally Rich After Unstoppable Determination.
Finally Rich After Unstoppable Determination. I like it.
So at first right now I still don't know what I want to do with it. I just know it has a meaning. It's really, really strong, and people gravitate towards it. And then I came up with Rich and Unemployed. I don't even know how I came up with that. I was just thinking one day, like, I was just thinking like different little ideas, and I was like, yeah, I could be rich and unemployed. And I just wrote it down. I didn't even think of it. I just wrote it down on my list of ideas, and I just put it to the side. And then when the unemployment thing was happening, when the lockdown and stuff like that, and everybody was talking about unemployment, I'm getting unemployment. I was like, man, rich unemployment it would be nice to start this right about now. And I just dropped it, and it was like, yo, that is hard. That is hard. I didn't even know it was gonna be my podcast. I didn't know it was gonna be what it's about to be. I just knew it had a name, and people gravitated towards it. And I just built off that. People like the name. What could I do with it? I put it on the shirt. People was buying the sweater. I had a book bag. People was buying it. And I was like, all right, bet I need to. And I dropped this too, fraud, at the same time. And I was just seeing how people reacted to both of them. But I knew that they had to be different entities because rich and unemployed speaks to one group of people and fraud speaks to a different group of people. And it kind of made me like think, like I was trying to reach different people when it came to like my podcast and being in these circles. When people see fraud, it's like, yo, what is that?
Yeah.
And people kind of like shy away from it. So like I don't promote it right now because I don't know what I want to do with it yet. Well, I just wrote a script for it, like a movie script, like episodes and stuff like that. So it's gonna be like something kind of pertaining to my life where I kind of like twist it, kind of like Power. I just, instead of drugs, it's like fraud.
Hey, a huge. Here's what I always love about people's story. I think everybody learns how to take each element of what they live and use it as an ingredient to serve people. If you see it correctly, right? So I think as long as we keep our stories, our mistakes, our failures as just something that serves us, it can torment us. It can make us embarrassed. But when we find a way to channel that into service to other people, I think it empowers us. And that's what it sounds like you're trying to do. Almost right your wrong.
Yes.
Take what it is that you've experienced, take your mistakes, package that into a way that can champion people to move that in a different direction. So like now, here's the part I'm super interested in. Like I need to steal information. This Airbnb game. For anybody who's looking to get into it, you have multiple Airbnbs now. What's that starting point for a person? If I'm right out the gate, I don't know where to get started. What's the first thing someone can do if they're looking to get in the Airbnb space? And for anybody who's completely lost, like, what is Airbnb?
Airbnb is like the apartments of Turo. If you don't know what Turo is, it's basically you rent out your car to another person, peer-to-peer. So Airbnb, you can use a house, an apartment, a condo, a townhouse, an event space, anything you could think of that people could live in, use for either living or for parties or entertainment, anything like that. So for anybody that wants to get started, I would say use your own house. That's how I started. And it kind of gives you the ropes of everything. You kind of get how to kind of manage this Airbnb thing because it's not just, it's easy, but starting off is not. And like when I first got out, like that was my game plan. Like I could use this Airbnb thing to kind of like float. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really care about making so much money. I just need to float. And I got out and I got 6 out the muscle. I had 6 running Airbnbs running in 6 months.
Wait a minute. You're not just gonna breeze past 6 Airbnbs. Like, how did we do that? How did we find, what it was, apartments, condos, somebody else's house? What were they? How did you do it?
Man, my first one, I think it fell in my lap. My cousin was moving from Atlanta to Miami, a 1-bedroom in near Perimeter Mall. And I was like, let me get that. Like, don't break the lease. Let me just get it. And I'd run the Airbnb play with it. And that was the first one. I was probably making like, extra $1,500 a month. And then I just acquired.
How much was the rent?
$1,300.
So just the easy $200.
No, extra. After paying the rent.
Top of that.
This is profit.
Okay,
yeah,
profit. Okay.
Yeah, profit. So like with a 1-bedroom, I would make basically double the rent.
Wow.
So that was my first one, and then I created just a process on how to like acquire these faster. So like I wrote down everything that I did for the first one, but I got the furniture, how I set it up, the painters, the cleaners, whatever. Boom, I took the same thing and put it into another shell, which was another 2-bedroom I have. And then I got another one, and then another one. But like I tried, like my concept is a little different because some people, they just start Airbnbs and they just have like regular apartments. I try to do the wow effect. Like once you're scrolling on Airbnb trying to find an apartment, you're gonna stop at mine because that one picture is gonna stop you. I do theme apartments. So like the first one I had was like I think I called it Le Bleu, some French name or something. It was like a blue and white apartment, but it looked really nice and simple. Like the average person would take it, and it was cheap. And then the next one I called the Crash Pad, where I kind of designed it based off of Keith Haring. That's his name. He's an artist. I think he died from HIV or something. And it was just a bunch of his designs all over the apartment. And it was kind of like kid-friendly, or even the average adult would get it. But all these different apartments, and I had the Chanel apartment. I had Chanel 1 and 2, 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, and I just designed everything Chanel, the wall paintings, the covers, the rugs, everything. So that was like my concept, like to get people to want to book my stuff. My stuff stayed booked out, but I only had one problem. People, when they see nice stuff, they want to had parties and stuff like that. So like that was my only problem dealing with these nice Airbnbs. Like people just want to throw parties every weekend, man.
No, now I gotta play advocate for somebody that's listening. We got six Airbnbs running their theme. They're making money. How does the average person, let's just say to the person who's working at their job right now, they're not comfortable with starting with renting out their place. How does a person start and get their first Airbnb?
First you have to have some okay credit.
What does that look like?
I think now they're taking people with 580s.
So from 580 and up.
580 and up. The location is number one. So like I would typically try to find locations where it's either next to arena, conference centers, conventional centers, anything that is the attraction, Atlantic Station, Buckhead, Lenox Malls, like those areas. And then you kind of like go do a tour and try to figure out, okay, would this be the best fit for me? You know, like ask the apartment about like how do they feel about short-term rentals? Well, not in the beginning stages. You just go look at it. Just go look at the setup. And then even if you don't even look at apartments, you can look at houses. That's what I aim towards now. Houses are just way easier. And then once you find a location, you apply for it, you know, deposit, security deposit, first month rent, you know, the initial things. And then like what I would do, I like sit in the house for like 2 days because I don't know like how I'm going to design a place. I sit in there and kind of get a feel for like who I want in this space, what type of people are coming. And then I try to come up with a design that'll fit this location because you just can't do anything anywhere. It has to fit. And, you know, come up with a nice theme. It's either you're going to paint the walls, you're going to have, you know, some artists come through and design some, the different kind of furniture. Everything kind of matter. Everything matters in this point, like creating this space because that's going to determine like how much money you make.
Yeah.
So once you acquire the property, design it, you list it. And that's as easy as that.
As simple as one. So what should somebody avoid? Should you set it up, decorate it with your own taste? Should you think about hotels? Should you be thinking about, if your favorite color green, should you avoid that and kind of think about what would be neutral? What's some things that someone should avoid? Once they find a location, you mentioned going and talking, if it's an apartment, going and talking with them, see how do they feel about it? How do you feel about Airbnb? Or should this be on the hush, like don't say nothing to
Definitely
nobody?
don't be on the hush because it's gonna be a point where they're gonna find out. And I went through that. Like I was trying to finesse the situation where, you know, I just go under the table and people would do the dumbest things. Like they would go to the rent office and be like, hey, I'm here for Airbnb. And I'd be like, why not call my phone? Like, why would you go to the leasing office? So like I learned through trial and error. Like I went through everything with this Airbnb stuff. So I do not recommend you trying to hide it because you're gonna get caught one day.
Leasing office, like, so what apartment number?
Yeah,
Apartment
that's exactly what they do.
1017.
Oh, can you show me the listing? Actually, yeah. Can you email that to us? Yeah. And they'll call me and be like, hey, we talk to your guests. So like, what you talking about? Like, well, yeah, we have the email, we have the pictures. Yeah, we got you. I was like, oh man. So I would avoid hiding it. So like once you like go and see the spot, you can call later and ask like, how do they feel? Like ask someone else, hey, how do you feel about, you know, such and such? Okay, like, or you can go on the website and see if it's other people in that same building that have Airbnb in this location. And if you see multiple, then that lets you know it's green light. Okay, well, they don't mind. So I just call anyway just to see where their headspace at. And then, or a house. House is way easier because you don't have to worry about that unless you're dealing with like the HOA. And then what I would avoid too is doing somebody else's theme. Go through Airbnb and do some homework. Like see what people are posting. If you got a 1-bedroom, see what these 1-bedrooms look like. What are they doing? And I go look at their calendar. Are they booked up? How much they charging? What are they like? I go look at their reviews. I go do my homework, my due diligence on everything, and then I kind of come up with how I want to do it.
So a checklist for someone starting. Credit score 580 or better, right? From credit score to location. Look for something that is in proximity. Let's say Georgia Tech, like here in Atlanta, people gonna fly in town to come and watch the game on down the line, or just to go and eat. So something in a location that people would frequent, so traffic is constantly coming. the next thing you say is vetting it out to make sure they're okay. Like this ain't finessing.
Right,
This is not
right,
under the table.
right.
This is a global platform.
Because you could lose your money.
Right. And then after that, it's really doing your homework to see what are other people doing in the industry. How are they decorating it? How much? How are they booked up? So how much should once somebody follows these 4 or 5 steps, how much should a person set aside if they want to get started with their first Airbnb? Like how much on average, I know it varies, right? Different cities, but on average, what do you think somebody needs to have to get started?
At the low end, I've started one with maybe $6,000. And not to say you can, invest as you go. As you start getting bookings, as you start making money, you can, put more money into like your property. And I think at the high end, maybe 10 to 15,000. Okay. If you want to just go big, because I didn't spend a lot of money on, but I know like I was gonna make that back. I go get me a 4-bedroom house. I know I can charge $800 a night. My spot is enough it's 4 bedrooms, which I try to deck it out with as many beds as I can, right? Air mattresses, big couches, double beds. So like this 4-bedroom could turn into a space for 16 people. And, people like living with each other. They don't want to have separate cribs. So like you can get either one person booking it or you can get 16 people booking it. So I got this margin where I can make money where like I'm not just, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not just, what is the word? I'm not shortening myself to just a 1-bedroom where only one person could book it.
I got you.
Right. So, wait, what am I saying? What is the question?
So we were talking about like what does somebody need? So on the low end, we're talking $6,000.
So like, I started like $6,000 to get you the deposit. $6,000 will get you the furniture, the decorations, everything you pretty much need, and that could cover the first month rent because that got to be included too. The second month rent, because you got to move in, and it's gonna take you about 2 weeks to decorate everything.
So you should also add in how long, like once you sign the lease, how long before you get it up and running and get bookings.
Right.
What would you say? Let's talk about apartment versus house. What do you think is the average for like a 1-bedroom that somebody would make in profit?
$1,000.
$1,000 profit a month.
$750 your lowest, $1,300 is at your highest for 1-bedroom, depending on the location.
That's pretty good for something that you don't have to. That's not like a house that you're stuck with. So about $1,000 passive income. Okay. And on a house, what does that look like?
House, depending on the size, houses are typically maybe $2,500 to $3,500, and I would say for me, because I got to bring up my Miami locations because this is a whole different market. But in Atlanta, I typically make double the rent. At the low end, I'm always going to make double the rent. That is the goal. And then depending on the time, because, like slow seasons are during the winter, and the summertime I can charge as much as I want. For a 4-bedroom house, I might charge $800, and I could bring in $15,000 a month.
Did you have an Airbnb when the Super Bowl was in Atlanta?
No.
Oh, man.
No, I didn't. No, I missed it. I was in jail.
I saw 1-bedroom apartments when the Super Bowl hit Atlanta on Airbnb going for $2,000 a night.
Yeah, I know.
I said,
and it was going.
Wow. So you say these are 2 different markets, Atlanta versus Miami.
Yes.
What's that market? How is it so much different between Atlanta and Miami?
So
I'm asking that because someone listening, there's people that's listening might be in Oklahoma, Philly, Delaware, Atlanta. Do you think that the city matters, or you feel like anybody could win with Airbnb?
Anybody could win with Airbnb, but the city determines how much money you could possibly make because Miami is a very tourist area, and with my location, I have a 3-bedroom penthouse, which it cost me a lot to invest. Like the investment was a lot. I spent $35,000, but my first month I made $20,000. And the special thing about Miami, like I'm in a circle where, they got guys that rent out boats, cars, and they also do cribs. So the thing with Miami, a lot of buildings don't allow this short-term rental. They hate it. And so with me not having to put my space on Airbnb, I could go to the circle of people that, the middlemen and things, and they would, let me tell you how it happened. So my homie, I told him about my space. I was about to put on Airbnb, and I was gonna put it on there for like $1,000 a night. So my homie called me like, "Hey man, when your spot gonna be ready?" I was like, "I'm be ready next week." He's like, "Man, I got somebody. How much you charging?" I was like, $1,500. I just threw a number out there. He's like, I bet. He said it too quick. I was like, well, you gonna be able to make some money? He was like, yeah, I'm gonna charge him like $2,000. I was like, you gonna charge him $2,000 a night? He's like, yeah, they gonna pay that. That's easy. I was like, hold on, light bulb.
That light bulb again.
Hold up. So I'm really undervaluing myself. So I would move the price up from $1,500 to $2,000, $2,500 a night. On a holiday, I might charge $2,500, $3,000. So, but now it's like I'm not in the space where I don't have to worry about the leasing office catching me doing Airbnb, because that's the only way they really find out. They do their research. They go on the website. They'll see they're building the apartment on Airbnb. They see your face on the profile picture. Okay, we got them. All right, so you got to put that down. But in Miami, people tend to spend a lot more money on anything. Cars, boats. People go down there to spend money. Atlanta's a little different. People just come down here to party and kick it, chill. Miami, they spending big money. And then I had higher clientele, have NFL players, rappers, all different high-level people that was willing to spend this amount of money. And my spot was decked out. Like, you would want to live there. Mm-hmm. If I showed you right now, you're like, bro, how much?
Let me see that, though.
I'm going to show you. It's dope, man. And so, like, all right, boom. I need more of these locations in Miami. Forget Atlanta. I need to be in Miami where the market is way stronger.
Man, of course you got Airbnbs. Are you teaching people how to get into this space? How to, more mentoring them so they don't make the mistakes? Because I'm sure, I'll ask, before we wrap up, like, what's some of the mistakes you made that you would avoid? Well, it's two questions. Are you currently teaching people kind of what you've learned to avoid those mistakes?
I am. So I came out with a course called CashPad. And CashPad is basically, it's a spinoff of Airbnb, but it's not just Airbnb. Airbnb is just something like people they know off the back. But it's other platforms that you can use that you can monetize your spot. So there's Airbnb, there's Vrbo, there's PeerSpace. There's a number of different websites you can use. That's why I call it CashPad. It's not just Airbnb course. It's a CashPad course. You can rent out your spot hourly for photo shoots, video shoots, whatever, and make $150 a night. And you can still live there. You can rent out during the day, live at night. So I'm teaching people to play. But the things that I went through, man, I went through everything. I went through like investing $10,000 to only have this spot for two months and getting kicked out and getting evicted because I didn't do the due diligence to figure out, could I do this in this building? So like now I'm smarter. Like I'll never lose any money doing this, and I want to teach people the same game.
I love it. So you giving people the game. What's the biggest mistake you made in the Airbnb space that you like? I just heard one of them. Was that the biggest one, or was there another?
No, I think my hiring process, because at first I was just hiring friends to like do things. Like I would hire like my sister to clean, and man.
Sus wasn't cutting it.
Man, she would move on her own time. That taught me a lot of lessons in life. You just can't hire family sometimes because family don't take you serious. That's what I learned that in the Airbnb game. Yeah. Like they just don't take you serious when it comes to your business.
What'd you say? So somebody coming at 11. Okay, I'll be there at 3.
She be there at like 2, and then she not even doing the job right. I'll get complaints like, "Yo, who you got cleaning this spot? Like they didn't even clean the tub. They didn't do this." And I would complain like, and she would talk back. Like, what? I'm the boss here. I'm the boss, man. And I used to hate it, man. I was like, you know what? You're fired. So, and then I would hire my cousin as a manager. I learned like just outsource. Just stay away from family and friends because they don't take you serious in the beginning. And they could drive your business to the ground, which it did. Like I had bad reviews. They wouldn't like put like, if they had a party, like I had like the ring set up. So like I would know when it's a party going on. I would need you to monitor this ring. I'm paying you. They won't even, they're just, now we got caught for a party. Now it's just, I lost a lot of money dealing with family.
So that was the biggest mistake. So I do want to lead into kind of what do you feel like you got right? But my other question is to make sure that we're adding even more value to everyone. What kind of staff would a person need running multiple Airbnbs?
Yeah.
Like, what are those first 2 to 3 things that a person needs to hire for immediately? I would imagine cleaning, right?
Cleaning is the very first person, and that cleaner could turn into a manager potentially because once you give them that location, you kind of let them run it. Okay, listen, once they start getting familiar with everything, listen, here's the app. I want you to be corresponding to the guests. I want you to talk back to the guests. I want you to interact. So you'll go on the app, you'll talk back to them, you'll be booking, and then I'll just give you a little more money. Like, hey, this is your property now. I want you to run. This is your property. You're the cleaner and the manager. And then once you get another property, either they could be both for both spots, or you can just hire another one. I typically try to just get one cleaner. Well, this is what I did too, right? I had a light bulb in prison. Like, you know what? I need to just start my own cleaning service, because cleaning services, they charge too much. They might charge you $100, $150 to come clean your spot. Let me just start my own company and pay somebody hourly. Let me just pay somebody $10, $15 an hour, right? If you're only cleaning for 4 hours, why would you charge me $150? I'll give you $15 an hour. You make $60. And that's good for some people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? An hourly job, and you get to do whatever you want for the rest of the day, versus having a real cleaning company. They charge you, because you save a lot of money, make a lot more money by saving on the cleaning fee.
Yeah.
All right. So the cleaner is pretty much the only person you need. And then once you start expanding and you have like multiple properties, 6, 7, 8, 10 properties, you probably just need a manager to manage the cleaners. And then go ahead.
So the main two things people would need, cleaner and manager. The thing they should avoid is don't hire your family to do it.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So here's what I would ask, and then I want to hear kind of what's next for Jonathan Dubaton. Did I say it correctly?
Dubaton, yes.
Yeah, it sounds like Grey Poupon. Right.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing I would ask is how does a person go about finding a cleaner? Is there sites that someone should go to? Is there something that
you can find them easily on Craigslist? They're pretty much easy to find, but I would say just create one. Make an LLC overnight, put an ad on Craigslist, and boom, they think you're a real company now. You could pay them whatever you want. Pay them whatever you want. And matter of fact, I learned this from this guy I sat in prison with. He was like, you should always create a business to support the other business. I was like, damn, that's a bar. Yeah, he was like, he said he had like a dealership, and he created a tire shop to go with it. Then he created a car wash to go with it. Then, so the money's just staying within itself. So I was like, boom, all right, I need to keep that.
I will say, I just had a light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Shout out to you for that. Hey, send me the bill.
Let me get a piece of that. Okay. All right.
But so here's what I would ask. I know that you now are walking people through this Airbnb process to help them avoid the mistakes you made and to win the way that you won. Multiple properties here in Atlanta and Miami. If anyone's looking to get into Airbnb, how can they contact you? How can they reach out to you?
You can definitely find me on Instagram, Finessers Only Club. Rich and Unemployed. That's the second page that I have. That's it for right now. And I'm going to start expanding to how to reach me out more. But right now, I don't even have the course. But so many people are asking me for the game. Like every time I post my crib, can you teach me? Can you teach me? So it made me want to, all right, let me just create a course for it. Let me offer some mentorship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let me offer, what he said. Like he said, he gave me the game. He don't even know it, but yeah.
Hey, listen, he's talking about my guy, Sean T. Blanchard's in here and just blazed us. Man,
ebooks.
I got to look out. I got to look out for you on the course thing, man. You're overthinking it, bro.
I know.
You're overthinking
I know.
Like one of the things I will say as advice, like constantly I talk to people with courses and they think it's just packaging information.
Yeah.
A course is a journey, man. So imagine if I were giving you directions like this. Now we flip. Imagine if I'm giving you directions and to get here. And I say, yeah, you're going to see trees on the left-hand side and this on the right hand. It confuses you to more information. You need main pivotal points that allows you to take action, which is like make a turn or stop doing something, right? That's all you got to do, bro. But we'll talk offline. I'll show you the game of how to do it. The reason why I say that is I build a business that helps people that's helping people. If you can help the mom, the dad, the employee generate revenue, everybody can't buy a house and do a rental and have a rental property.
Yeah.
But anybody can go get an apartment to generate revenue with no hours work.
Right.
So like what you're doing, man, I think it's a fantastic stream of revenue that, we got to have that talk. So what's next, man? I know what you're doing now, but what's next for you? Next few years, what can we expect?
Well, the Airbnb thing is just something to do, just so I can help people make money. But for myself, though, man, I'm on mogul status. So, like, I'm using the platform I have now, like my podcast. I'm just using it to kind of, build up this person. I want people to be able to relate to me. I want to be able to, give people game just on life. And then, when I step up this ladder in life, I can use it to open other doors. So, like, I see myself multi-million billionaire. Yeah, let me not even put, that's just too small. Billionaire. I plan on being on TV, being in movies, writing my own scripts, shooting my own movies, just being a mogul.
Man, knowing what I know about you and hearing your story, I believe it's gonna happen, bro.
Yeah.
Without question. The light bulb will continue to go off, and most importantly, not just for you, but for other people. So, man, thank you for your time.
Let me say this too, right? Because, man, I just dealt with some stuff coming up here too, right? I'm on probation, right? And I'm trying to explain to my probation officer, like, she's like, yeah, you got to keep a job. I'm like, listen, I can't get a job. Like, I pulled up just like this just so I could show my brand, like, this is what I have going on. Like, I can't dedicate 8 hours a day to a job.
Yeah.
I have to put this into myself. I can't do what you're requiring, like what you're asking. I can't. And she's like going back and forth with me. I'm like, listen, like, I know you had dreams in life, right? Like, what if somebody came and told you, like, you had to do certain things and it's taken away from what you're trying to do in life.
Yeah.
And she just wasn't getting it. Like, now she's like, okay, well, if you don't get a job, I'm putting you on house arrest. I'm like, you know what that's going to do to what I have going on? Like, my brand? Like,
Yeah.
it's people that look up to me out here. Like, you want me to stop this energy, right? So, like, don't give up in life, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to go through hurdles. You're going to go through it's not always going to be easy. You got to fight through the BS.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm going through a lot of BS, and I just never let that stop me. Going to prison, being on probation, telling me I got to get a job, and, like.
And you got a successful business going.
Right. And I'm telling her, like, I got Airbnb, like, I do this. That's not a job. But, okay, what do you really want from me? But I just got to play the game.
You know what I love? What I love even about that, right? I think that helps someone. Their situation might not be probation, but it's something that they're bound to that restricts them.
Yeah.
Whether it is the amount of money they make, a credit score, whether it's no one believing in you, lack of support, lack of education. So to anybody watching, I think it's important to hear, even with success, like, a man's super successful, multiple businesses, still having that thing from mistakes from the past.
Right.
And we all have it. So the amount we pay for the mistakes we made,
I'm paying for
that.
it.
I think it helps you. It humanizes you, and it's going to help you help so many other people, man.
Right.
So thank you for that.
I just want to tell my story because I know it's going to help other people.
Yeah.
Right? I know it's going to do something, and it's not just for me. Like, I'm not even doing the things I do for money right now. Like, I want to do the course just to help people. I know I'm going to make millions later on in life, but if I can make an impact now, just like the podcast stuff I'm doing, like, I'm not even worried. I don't even try to monetize it right now.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking, but I know, like, people, the DMs that I get, the comments that I get, I know that it's affecting people. I know it's working. All right, boom. I need to just keep going, and the money's going to come later.
Bro, if I can say anything to you, it's your words back to you. Don't stop, keep going.
Thanks.
And I think it's to everyone. So thank you so much, man, for pulling up. Thank you for sharing your
Appreciate you
story.
for having me,
Thank you
man.
for your vulnerability. It takes a lot to just throw it out there to help someone. I know it is. From the game you gave on Airbnb to you giving your story, and there's someone else that's in the same place or someone that's in a different space but want to know, how do I climb out of what I'm in? So I hope you've enjoyed another episode of Monetize with Marcus, and not just heard information, but you heard information that you can package, market, sell, and turn into income, and in essence, monetize. I will see you in the next episode.